Talk to Connect is a podcast that helps people inspire, empower you to just find your way. A lot of guests that I've had here have shared their story. The purpose of the story is just to share you, to show you that anything is possible in life. Wherever you are, whatever is happening to your life, somebody has been there, somebody has overcome it, and somebody has changed their life. So my guest today is Lydia. Lydia was my schoolmate. She's a lady who has a lot of things, and she's a very powerful woman. But she's going to share with us a very interesting topic today about domestic abuse. She's been in a domestic abuse, and she has agreed to share her story with us. And I want to commend you, Lydia, for that, because a lot of people feel shy and ashamed to share their stories. So let me welcome you. Let me just thank you for being here. And I want you to introduce yourself. Let us know who Lydia is and take us through your story. Whoever is joining us today, there's a lot of people who have joined us. Lydia will share her story. I'll be asking questions. So if you have anything that you want to ask or you want to contribute, I'll ask you just to unmute or find a way that we can coordinate properly. So Lydia, thank you for joining us, and I want to welcome you again.
Yeah, thank you so much, Fatima. God bless you. And I'll just give thanks to God even for such an opportunity. It's quite been a journey, and even just coming out and talking about it, it's just like coming out of a cocoon, whereby you accept this happened and I should help other people that have been there. I've had quite, as I was saying, not a bumpy life or a bumpy past, but a rough one. And my name's Lydia Minor, born and brought up in Western. So my parents went there for business. I went to school there, primary school, high school. And after high school, I worked with the office of the president there in Vihiga and part of Luanda. Then retrenchment happened. But from there, life began. But again, I got involved with the father of my children at the age of 20, actually immediately after high school. I wouldn't say I had that life, the way people say life after high school, partying, having different relationships and all that. For me, it's always a vocabulary in my life. And I remember the first time when I got pregnant with the baby, I was this young girl, first love at first sight, and you're like, oh, this handsome, good looking man. And I didn't have friends that, would, okay, I had friends, them, they had their own life, but for me, I mean, I got in love and I couldn't be advised anyway, neither could I listen to somebody. I remember I got pregnant with my firstborn, and it was quite a big red flag that I overlooked. Now is that when I sit back and I'm like, I count the many countless red flags that were in this relationship that I overlooked, and I have reasons. So when I got pregnant with my firstborn girl, I remember the first day I visited him and told him I'm pregnant. There was another lady there, and there was another lady there, and this lady was being taken home for an introduction. That was a good red flag that I overlooked. So we stayed there. I remember I reached with a friend of mine in the night, and there was this lady. They came to the house, and something funny. We slept in the same house, but in a different room with my lady friend. Him was with this girlfriend. The next day they woke up and they took the girlfriend home. And because I was madly and stupidly in love, that was nothing to me. I was like, I'll soldier on, I'll fight on. I don't believe I can raise a kid single-handedly. Neither can I abort. I remember at one time, he told his friend to call me. I called him, he didn't receive a call. And he told his friend, if I think that thing will keep us together, let me get rid of it. I didn't know about abortion. I didn't know where would I do it. Neither had he given me money to do it. So this time I'm struggling for my parents not to know that I'm pregnant. So he left, took the lady at her village place, and that was it. I went back to my home. I think mothers have a way of knowing this girl is pregnant. And my auntie realized, and my mom was famous. My mom is a quiet person. So my mom was very good, and I really congratulate her for this. She just told me, I know what is happening, who is in charge. Oh, do you know the owner of this pregnancy? I was like, yes. Where does he work? Yes. Where does he come from? I answered all the questions. And my mom was like, yeah, keep it. A baby is a gift. It now rings in my mind. My mom was a supporting system. The fact we never interacted about boy-child relationship the way we do with my daughters now and my son. But my mom told me, mtoto ni zawadi, weka. If he'll come back, sawa. If he doesn't come back, it's okay, tutalea. So life moved on. And I remember it was on and off. You remember he has introduced someone else to their home. And I remember when he left, I went through his things in the house, and I came across the parents' address. And I wrote to the parent a letter and told them I'm pregnant and your son doesn't want to be responsible. In fact, he has left with another lady, blah, 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 explaining myself. So the parents knew that he has impregnated somebody somewhere, a girl somewhere. They didn't know this girl. So I was working. By then, I think my salary was less than 5,000 with the office of the president as a civil servant. I struggled. I would pay rent, I think 500. House girl was 500. I made it because my parents were around. They would give me food. So I brought up the Kagal back and forth. But again, I wasn't ready to bring up this girl alone. And this guy never cared. He never did anything. Actually, I remember the only thing he did the first 8 years before I moved in with him, he did a shopping, I think around 2000 or something like that, and gave me. And every time they would say they're coming to see the baby, I would prepare and get excited. You know, when you're a young girl and nobody is really telling you about these things, about serious men in life, you're like so excited. And I believe once you have a baby with someone, that's your husband. For me, that was my husband. So I would visit him and back. But I'll do my visits on Friday so that Friday from work, I get an afternoon off on Friday, then back. He was staying somewhere out of town. I'll be there in the evening. Then I thought I'll be with him Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I'll be back. Come and see, this man was never there those days I did visit. That was another red flag. But I believed, mini mwanamke. You know, there's nobody telling you this. Those were all red flags that are overlooked. And you'll ask me, how come I have 4 children down the line? I mean, I didn't want to raise my children with different fathers. I never believed I can have children with different fathers in a family. That was my belief. And also, nobody spoke to me about it. My parents were my parents, I don't blame them, but also I think the way where they're coming from, and I never discussed much with them what I was going through. So I would visit them. Though these incidents will have parties. Maybe I've been invited for a party because they had departmental parties. I'll be invited for a party. You go, oh, there's another lady in there, all those things. You go this weekend, you get some clothes. Maybe your clothes have been removed from one room to another, and all that. But come and see, I was retrenched in 1998. Then I came to Nairobi, hustling on my own. I was doing promotion. I was doing marketing for companies. You know, those supermarket girls from a village. Thank God to a friend of mine who is a Seka. We were working with her. The sister was in Nairobi, so I visited and I became a resident there. In fact, they called me family. So from there, that's how I came to know about Nairobi. I didn't have a relative in Nairobi. So come these 2 or 3, we are like, oh, please, let's come together. Nini, you forgive Nini. Nini, I was like, hey, niko na mtoto. Let me live with this man. 2 or 4, I get another pregnancy. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, this is also giving me an entitlement. And all this time, this guy never supported this child. And here I'm pregnant again. Yeah, we move in. And I'm like, I have to go to his place of work. And I stay there and bring up the baby. Remember, this other Kagala, I've left her with my sister in Nairobi to take care of her because we can hardly afford her school in that place that this man was working. And I have a small baby. Thank God to my energy. I think out of my pain, I've been able to get some energy and the courage just to raise my head high and know that life has to move on. So I will do promotions. I'll leave that place. Remember, it's like 2 hours away from Nairobi. Come in town, do hawking, and then go back in the evening. Now, I believe as a girl that, I should not just depend on a man. I should also work and do everything. So most of the time now is when I realized I was doing food, I was doing my trip, I was doing my clothing for my babies. Yeah. And him, I think, thank God, because there was a house rent, house was being whatever from his salary, house and water bills and all that, he will do it, which was, I think, around 1,000 or 2,000. But the rest of the things I would do them. So I would go even to Tanzania, get clothes, come back, hawk in the NYS, hawk in the army forces, hawk. Yani I was a professional hawker, but I was doing something good. I would give things out to people. Then end of the month, I consolidate, and then I go back to Tanzania or even come back. Thank God for the sister was also supporting me. And yeah, I got my second born. Then he was retrenched. We came to Nairobi. To Nairobi, we stayed. And I remember before getting my third born, it was like, you are done to get a baby, and it's wrong, what and what and what. Oh, to me, I was like, I have to get a baby. And not knowing that, all these times, these are all red flags. I'm getting another third baby, right? Without this person's support. I remember when coming to Nairobi, I was also hawking from Gikomba. I'll go to Gikomba in the morning, come in town and hawk. I remember at some time I would go to town, just do errands for people. You want to send this and this, I'll do it for you. So long as you pay me 200 shillings. 200 shillings was much money, 2 or 5, 2 or 6 there. I'd walk down to Gikomba, get this nyanya vunjika, the tomatoes, get nyanya vunjika, get the vitungus, buy the sukuma wiki, and I'm home. I was a daily customer at City Market. They'll give me the bones they've removed the fillet for the chicken. I mean, bora watoto wangu, they've had that smell for the chicken, and life moved on. I'll go to Bama, get the hooves. The hooves then come, make them a stew, good to go. And all this time, he was not working. For me, he's not working. Let me go out and look food for my family. Remember, I was also now paying rent. I was now doing clothing for my children. To me, it seemed so okay. And all this time, I didn't realize it's abuse, it's negligence, it's being irresponsible. And most of the time, we'll have fights. And with fights, I remember the first lap was on Gilgit, when we were staying with him in Gilgit. And one day I'm with this small girl, my firstborn, and I don't know what happened. He slapped me. I was shocked. So when I went to tell the friends, they laughed it off. I didn't know this will be getting, how do I put it? I didn't know that it will graduate from one another to another. I remember one time I was going back to Western, and I was like, you have to feed your child, you have to give me money. Hey, I remember that beating, and the cousin was in. He slapped me. He will take my head and hit it on the wall. Remember, I was very tiny. I wish I could share my photos by then. I was very tiny. He would take my head, hit it on the wall, give me kicks on the back when I'm down, until the cousin came and told him, my friend, just fight me. Don't fight this lady. I remember going back home with a black eye. Then when I went and reported this matter to the children's department for him to be his salary to be part of child support. But it never happened. It never happened. So the beating became like a norm. I mean, we believe that when people love you so much, they'll beat you, they'll harass you and all that. And they have a way that abusers will always get back to your life. Somehow too, they have a way, of which I'll discuss later, because I came to realize these are the gender-based violence. It has its own contributions. And I've been doing research on narcissist, which is a personality disorder. And personality disorder is brought up by upbringing, environment, and childhood abuse. Okay, we come to Nairobi, and I get my third born, a baby boy. I remember during that pregnancy, it was tough. 2008 was my worst year in bringing up children. Remember, these other two, it's not that he gets me to the maternity and does shopping. It's not that he feeds me like a woman who has a small baby, doesn't take care of them. I have a third one. This third one was worse, because I remember there were some stories always, in family, you'll always get stories from in-laws, and they mostly contributed that time. So funny stories had come up, and he took it upon himself. I remember when I was going to deliver that day, the previous night, he had not slept in the house. Okay, even before that, I think we had that 2 weeks before we had an argument over the same story of a relative. I wouldn't want to mention because I think just something. He beat me. And I remember the mama who was the neighbor had told me, why are you always beaten and you keep quiet? Remember this person had put a nyawinyo in the house to be disciplining me with that nyawinyo. And I remember mama telling me, why are you always being beaten and you can't scream? So this particular day, I have 2 weeks to deliver. My friend, the guy, yani, he beat me until I screamed. And these other 2 children were screaming. The neighbors came in. The neighbors were like, this lady, I mean, she's just almost due. Why are you beating this lady? So she was like, oh, she's doing something. She's talking some things about my relative, to which nobody to date has ever confirmed whether it's true. And then they were like, yeah, it doesn't matter. But why are you beating her? And she's pregnant now. She can give birth anytime. And I remember the whole of that pregnancy, we were not talking. We were not in terms. And because you remember I'm pregnant, I have to give my children food. I have to hawk around with my pregnancy. I have to keep money for my child's delivery. When that day came for delivery, I remember very well that he had slept out the previous night, only for him to come around 1 or 2-ish in the afternoon. And I remember my water broke. And he was in the sitting room. Remember, when he's coming in the house, he finds me in the veranda. He doesn't say hi. He doesn't ask, what are you doing and what are you up to? I mean, he doesn't care. It's like this pregnancy, it's no one. But I came to understand later on, he was telling people that could not be his baby. So the water breaks. And women, you can understand when that water breaks, you can't walk around because it's like a tap imefungulwa. So I go to the bathroom. And I call him from the bathroom. I tell him, kindly call me a taxi. I want to go to hospital. My water is broken. The guy tells me, he puts a phone in between, maybe there's a kitchen up to the washroom. So he tells me, come for the phone and call the taxi. And I remember telling him, I can't walk. Just call the taxi for me. Do you know that guy did nothing? He put his head on the sofa set and continued to sleep. And I remember my last born sister, by then we were with her. She was going from school because I was with her small daughter. She went back to school. So she was on holiday. She walks in and I tell her, my water is broken. Kindly go to this shopping center, call this taxi. And the taxi comes. They get me to hospital. In fact, the taxi didn't come. My sister told me, because there's no pain, let's walk to hospital. Remember, this hospital is Makadara. It's on Jogoo Road. We only to pay 20 shillings so long as you come with cotton wool, a thread, I think, and gloves and spirit. Because there was no much. It was a city council hospital. I mean, that's the level I was offering to cut costs. We walk through Jericho Lumumba up to Makadara Hospital. When we reach there, they check on me and they tell me, Madam, there's no pain. And when there's no pain and the water is busted, the water has busted, you can't stay here. You have to go for a CS. So you either go to this hospital is called what? The one in the famous one, the famous hospital, not St. Mary's. It's in Pumwani. Yeah, in Pumwani Hospital. And that time, Pumwani, people are complaining it's very dirty. Children are being stolen. There is whatever, people go for CS, wanafungiwa pamba or something like that. So I stay there. I'm like, I can't go to Pumwani. Then what hits my head, I call my sister, my second born sister. I tell my sister, kindly, just come and take me to hospital. I'm in this hospital, there's no pain, and the water has broken, and I need to go to hospital. And my sister is shocked. Guess who they are sitting with on high table taking beer? It's the mask. So my sister asked, you are here? My sister has gone to hospital, and you are really taking beer here. They start exchanging with my sister, and because they're having a drink with my sister's boyfriend. So they come and check me, including him, to St. Mary's Hospital. Thank God to St. Mary's Hospital. Those days it was very new. So I go to St. Mary's Hospital around 7 o'clock. I'm admitted, I'm induced. And because of pregnancy and stress and distress of pregnancy, My baby was not whatever for delivery. They're always measuring and they find it 7 6 7 6. So all night I've labored induction, and until 6 o'clock a.m. the nurse tell me, Mama, let's save you and save the baby. So that's how I did my first CS. And this first CS is not a beginning CS. Walikata too just because wanataka kutoa mtoto. I can imagine what they were going through. Come and see. I call him around 8 and I tell him, actually, I've had a baby boy and that it's through CS. He never responds. He came back 2-3 days later. All those were red flags. I remember the sister came through and the sister came to hospital. They released me from the hospital. I went home with my baby. And thank God my sister was around. It was over during Christmas holiday and I was with my sister there. And I took, you know, for the first 5 months, this guy never held his own baby. He will find the baby on the couch, crying. He will not pick the baby. All this time, I didn't know he doesn't think that this is his baby, saying this is not his baby. After 6 months, and all these were red flags. I never walked out.
Somebody's mic is open. Can you guys mute yourself? Because I cannot hear Lydia properly. Whoever's mic is on,
Can I continue?
Yeah, somebody's mic is on.
Okay. So all this time with 3 babies, I took care of them from maternity. I never know about 3 months leave maternity. I've always walked out of my maternity within a month or within less than 2 months to walk out and fend for my children. Thank God, God has favored me that I could get work and do that. That time I've started a company that now it's really growing, printing and branding company. It's really growing and all that. But all this time I'm still paying rent. I'm still doing clothes for my children. I'm doing literally everything. Yeah. My firstborn, you like how my firstborn came. This is one of the days I'm not in the mood. I'm not all, I feel like this is it. I'm done. Full of balloon. I go out of the country, coming back. I think it's maybe malaria and typhoid. I stayed with that whatever kit for checking pregnancy for 3 weeks because I'm not imagining how I'm pregnant. So one day I go to a bank and thank God for the VIP, VIP places, and I get to go to the washroom and I test. I find I'm pregnant. My friend, I diarrheaed for 30 good minutes, not believing how, where, who. It's a sad moment for me, but again, I had to deal with it. Remember, I cannot abort. Remember, I have these other 3 children. How does, and all this time, my parents don't know what I'm going through. They don't know what I'm going through. And within 6 months of my firstborn, we co-signed, and I was like, this is it, and I'm done. Because there was unfaithfulness, abuse psychologically, emotionally, sometimes physical, and I was like, this is it. So the only way I had to get rid of him is to go to the chief, talk to the chief, and thank God the chief was a woman. So the chief sits us down and she listens to me, and the chief decides, I mean, you just have to give this lady, because that time I'm 6 months pregnant, I'm doing everything, you know, I could not keep house girls, I could not do, you know, all those bad things that were happening. And at least for the first time I got God. Yeah, he leaves the house and goes. So I give birth to my daughter, thank God. At least by then I was doing good. I didn't have a problem with the maternity and all that. And the baby was there. He never bothered to know and even call, how is the baby? But I know, guys, you know, I was on social media, guys will know Lydia's had a baby and all that. And then within 2 or 3 years, I decide, people are like, oh, this is the father of your children. You know, that mentality, the father of your children, you know, just forgive him and all that and all that. Come and see, I accept. So he comes back when the child is about 2 or 3 years. And let me tell you, there's a saying in Kikuyu that says, the disease that comes back is the one that will kill you. And this time he finds I've established myself. Remember the first time I was even trying to put up business for him out of the country in Kampala, but he drops everything and it's like nothing is working. Yeah. So whatever. Now he comes back, finds myself. Okay, I'm also having some issues financially because there's some court cases. And now he gets me with a very big hotel along Dar es Salaam Road. And I'm like, hey, I want you to head this hotel as I do other things, as I deal with my court cases and all that. He crumbled the whole hotel down because he was a gambler. And he take away. There's some echo.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So he gambled everything until now. We didn't have anything because I'd moved to another estate that I needed to buy that house, but the rent was too high. I have children, I have court cases. Not even one day this guy walks to me to court and attend my court cases. Not even one day. He never bothered. I remember I was even arrested in Sudan, in Kenya. He never bothered. It was none of his business. And thank God to my brother who was always there for me. My brother, thank you. God bless you. My brother was there for me throughout, checking on the children plus checking on me and finding out how are the court cases going. Do we need any money? How do we go about it? My brother is an awesome man, so different from the person I had given birth with his 4 children. So come 2017, he's still the same. 2017, 2016, when he moved from one house to another, he's not there, abused. And now it came down to children, beating children mercilessly, doesn't care, talking bad about children, cursing them. Remember, even this small girl, he comes after 2 years. He's also beating this small girl. Beating him just to tell a few things that I would understand why he's beating the girl. It's because of you have to greet me in the morning. You have to tell me this when you come from school. And then we're like, my friend, you've not been here. Can you walk the journey with this kid? Let this kid recover from the loss. And now the kid can regain the relationship back. Work on the acceptance. Hey, come and see. One day, it was it. We were talking about my daughter going to school, being picked from school, and this other one reporting to university. So there was a bone of contention whereby kindly just pick this small girl from school as this one goes to do his shopping so that she can go to school, because the date we had agreed she's going to school, it was brought earlier. So we needed her to do shopping and everything. Remember the shopping and everything, even school, I'm the one doing it. Him is just in the house. And when I tell him kindly pick the small girl as this one goes to do his shopping, then me as kawaida have to wake up in the morning, go for my daily hustle. The guy now calls me and tells me, my friend, these children of yours, they're always directing you on what to do. Unasikiza watoto ni nini? Why are you telling me to pick this? I was like, hello, this other bigger girl is supposed to go to school. So she needs to do her shopping. Why would you need, if this small girl is ours, not hers. She needs to do her life. And while we are arguing out there, my daughter comes to the sitting room and tells me, Mom, don't worry, I'll not go to school today. I'll go on Friday, choose my units, then I'll come back, then I'll do the shopping on Saturday or Sunday. So when I go upstairs to the bedroom, my daughter follows me and tells me, Mom, is it worth it? What kind of life are you living, Mom? I mean, what do you want us to talk about this life? What good is it there that you're still holding on? My friend, that was my breaking point. That was the moment I was like, this is it. So,
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry for that.
No. Okay.
Yeah, so, and then from there, I decided, let me just be quiet and all that. So that's how I walked out. And one day I came back from church, I find he's not there. And since then, he never bothers. It's like almost 6 to 7 years. He never bothers to know how are the children feeding, how are they going to school, he doesn't care. And from there now, I decided to find out what is the problem. What is this kind of people from, in a scale of 10 to 10, you find 8 women are going similarly through what I'm going through, abuse, psychological, emotional, men not being responsible. Then I decided there must be something that it's really a problem. So that's how I came up and decided to do research and talk about NPD. NPD is narcissistic personality disorder. It's about these people who don't care. It's all about them. and they're abusive, they are controlling, and because it's a disorder in them, they have to find a way and just cover it up with something. So that's my story. I don't know whether we'll ask for questions or can I go on and discuss about.
Before you continue, because there's a lot of things that you've said, and because when you talk about abuse, and I understand that there's a lot of women who are going through abuse, and you talking about it is taking a bigger step. So there's a lot of women who feel talking about abuse is like demoralizing themselves. It's a shame to say that. And because we live in a society, it's kind of, abuse is kind of a norm. You know, when you are abused and you go home and you're told that is how a woman should be, you should survive, take care of your children, raise your children. So you've gone through abuse and you've had children in your home. You coming out to talk about it, it's like you've gone to the next phase of your life. So there is a woman back there who's still staying with an abusive man, or a man who's staying with an abusive woman in the excuse of my children. What would you say about that? Because a lot of women, when you talk to them, they will tell you, what would I do with my children?
Yeah.
Because
now, I'll tell a woman, okay, I've been there, and during my research, you find like 7 times this woman has tried to get out of that relationship. They have always reasons that do not make sense to the other people. Like me, I was like, my children, I'm the firstborn in my home. What will it be of my siblings? I'm married. My parents don't know about this. And then I'm that kind of a woman who will think not getting married, getting involved with other men. Okay, getting involved with other men, it's not an option. It's not an option. Actually, it's a wrong option. But I don't blame women who get to other relationships in the name of, because they're going through a lot. So it depends on how you want to heal. You may heal positively or negatively. I'll tell a woman, imagine you'll make it. You will make it because I'm an example of someone who has made it. I have 4 children in this city of Nairobi. I have my company, and times have been the same to other people. It's only that the power of moving on. And for me, a reason that has really made me move on, it's because of my children. They're so beautiful. I'm one person that I know they're looking up to me. And I'm like, today, if I let myself down, I would have let them down. And let me tell you, by staying in that abusive relationship, you are also being unfair to those children, because abuse goes from the wife up to the children. Once they see you fight, they see you are miserable, they see what things are done to you, you're also affecting these children. And as I told you about a narcissistic personality disorder, that also it's a matter of time. It will also come through to the children, because the children are under that environment. And sometimes you'll find the traits and all that, but why would you wait for a full blood? Because the brother is never wrong. And it will take time for them to understand this lady has been going on. And I thank God, even my family from my husband's side, my ex-husband's side, has been supportive. They realize, because even up to date, there's also evidence of waste. Yeah. So let me tell you, as a woman, you shouldn't sit there. I don't advocate for divorce and separation. But again, you better be separated and away from abuse for the sake of these children you're bringing up. And mostly narcissists, they end up killing one another. You will die for your children. You'll be made paralyzed, And why would you suffer because of your children? I've had people who've had diseases, cancer and diabetes, and that hate, hate and anger attract so many diseases. Your body gets vulnerable. And spiritually also, as long as you're not happy, you'll attract diseases that will make you calm down, that will not even be able to be there for those children, right? And let me tell you, there's nothing hard. There's a God in heaven. There's a God who is just, who knows you have these children, they have to go to school. You have these children that they have to live a life. And again, that's why I'm coming up talking about this personality disorder, because there are also women who are going through that. Their children have been taken away from them. They're staying away from the children. That's an abuse. I know of a friend who is never allowed to see the children. They only talk on phone. That's an abuse. But you see, until you realize it's an abuse, you'll never walk out of that. For me, it took time even to talk about it. And I know sometimes family may not support a woman who talks about abuse. Excuse me, family. You have daughters, you have sisters, you have mothers. Would you want your sister, your mother, your daughter to go through abuse with another person's son? Please help them. Listen to them. Talk to them, because also talking is therapy. Don't judge them by their actions, because sometimes through abuse, people tend to turn out to be other things. They tend out to be vulnerable to a drug addiction, vulnerable to prostitution, vulnerable to so many things, even depression. Please talk to them. I know of a few ladies that died of divorce, depression. Some of them, they're infected with HIV, and kidogo kidogo, she doesn't take long, anakufa. But let me tell you, HIV people live, and sometimes they heal. Most of the time, in fact, they heal from HIV. It's all having that positivity that things shall be well. So I'll tell a woman, you don't need to sit in an abusive relationship. You don't need, and narcissists have a way of keeping you there. They have a way of keeping you in there, such that they even cut you from friends and relationships. Even relatives, they don't visit you. Even their own relatives, they avoid them even to know about what you're going through, because any moment they know you are talking to them about their relatives, my friend, they'll cut you. You'll not even visit. They'll stop you from friends. They want to control you. They're so controlling. They control your way of dressing, your way of how you go to place of work. Some women have opted to resign and be home mothers because they're being controlled. Some of them, they're controlled by the way they relate with other people. So that is how narcissists do that. That's abusive people. That's what they do. And abuse is not just women who are abused. There are also women who abuse men. And no wonder it's gender-based violence. It's not just a woman thing. Yes, Fatima.
That's very nice. Thank you for sharing that. I think a lot of people forget that you need to have worth. You need to love yourself. You need to value who you are. Because if you love your children, and this is what you forget, that if the child sees that you're being abused, if a child seeing that her father is abusive, then the son becomes abusive, because that's a norm. So we are creating a chain. You are allowing your daughter to see that it's okay for me to be abused. So when you use the excuse that I'm staying with my children, the question is, you have to ask yourself is, what am I showing as an example to my child? Am I building a child who's going to have worth in life? Or am I creating another monster who's going to do the same thing that is happening in my house? So thank you for sharing that, because when you love your children, I think we always have to show them the right things and give them the best values. Shamila said, people go through hell listening to this, made me realize life is worth it and things do change to better. Only when you become strong and you decide to move on, no matter what. That's so true. It's very true.
Yeah.
Because I think when you know your worth, and I think that's the power, when you know your worth as a person, that you will not allow anybody else to mistreat you or make you feel less of yourself. So I want to ask you another question. Since you're a mother and you've gone through abuse, how much do you think society is contributing to this abusive behavior? Because when we would like how much do you think society is affecting or is allowing? I will talk about a boy or a man. How do you think as a mother should you raise your son to understand to be an abusive man is not right? Because I think from my perspective, and I know there are men who are being abused, but I think as women, when we grow up, there's this sense of we're told you're a woman. You need to be this and you need to be that and you need to behave like this with your husband. Do you feel there's the same thing that is being told to boys so that they understand that being a man doesn't mean you need to be abusive or you need to be aggressive or you need to be, there's a certain way as a man you need to behave with your family? Or these behaviors are starting from home when boys are being treated in a way that sisters have to serve them. They tend to forget that they're supposed to be gentle and be loving and be caring.
Actually, one of my concern has also been about boy child. Boy child in the sense that when we grew up, we always knew boys are a special people in the society, whereby it's only girls who are supposed to cook, who are supposed to clean and serve these boys. Then they're supposed to go watch football, go and play out, and maybe nowadays they do PlayStation. And that has been my concern, whereby when these boys grow up, there's no father figure because they're used to doing their own thing and not getting concerned in the house chores. So they know a woman is supposed to be in the kitchen, right? And the society is really contributing to gender-based violence. Ask me how. Starting from my own family, there are people who would feel, why are you talking about it? It's embarrassing. And even maybe the other side, they are feeling, oh my, why are you telling on this, all this, all this? Because at the end of the day, I'm just someone's child that has gone through abuse from your brother, or maybe from your father, or maybe from your cousin or something like that. And I still ask myself, what if it was your daughter, your mother, your sister? How would you react the same? How would you react on the same? Because I was given back to by a mother and father. The same way that even your daughter, your sister, your brother, your sister, your brother, and your sister, your daughter, and your mother also have parents. And we are contributing in what sense? We don't allow, you're like, mambo ya nyumba fulani, let's not listen to it. And they take also sides. They don't look at the problem, how it started, how this is, and has it continuously been this way, or we just hear a one time, because at the end of the day, narcissists have a way of defending themselves. And by then, narcissists, the way they look, the way they do their life, they tend to be different to the outside world. Even family may never realize that these people are abusive. If anything, you'll be told you're the one who is provoking. Like today, we've had an argument on a conversation on my page on this. Like, even why don't you listen to the other side? And I was like, let's have a conversation. It could be both. And it could be either gender, abusing and the other being abused. And even if I trigger the abuse, I mean, why would you abuse me? Don't you have a better way of dealing with this trigger, right? The society has, especially from the family, leave alone even the community outside, from the family, we've not been able to handle this. We tend to sawa, wewe tumeongea, we've had this discussion, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. My friend, when they go, you're not living with this person. And in fact, it gets worse because we are not even ready to talk about it. It's an embarrassment. And for me, I had to choose because I know there's a woman going through this and he doesn't know it's an abuse. Or maybe he doesn't know how to come out of this. Or maybe he doesn't know how to deal with it. I may have gone ahead. Let me just do this phrase from the Bible where Joseph told the brothers, I went ahead of you that today you may be of help from my position. You may be helped from my position. So to me, I'll say I've gone through this, fought the battles, known the right thing, and maybe not the only one. The other people have been victims of gender-based violence. But again, I'm able to hold a woman's hand. And not just getting literally the woman out of that, it's making this woman realize this is abuse. This is the red flags that you've been overlooking. You remember I've told you I was just from high school, I met this guy and blah, 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 I'm pregnant. If I had somebody who would have told me, by the way, being pregnant is not a license to get married, or someone who would have come through and said, you people, you need to do, and can you imagine up to date, no dowry has been paid, no family meeting and negotiations have ever come. Abusers, they don't care. Abusers, they don't mind your value. I believe for a woman to do dowry for a man to do a dowry for a woman, you value this woman. You need to go an extra cost, an extra mile. I mean, it's at a cost. But because abusers, they don't care. They'll not even go at a loss of a coin. So if somebody would have held my hand and tell me, let's go this way, do this way, wait this way, and do this. But for me, it was like marriage was the thing after high school. And no wonder I always talk to these young children and tell young girls these young girls, my friends, if you want to look for something good in a man, these are the red flags. And don't overlook the red flags. If they are temporary, sour, but if it's a continuous, repeatedly, done to you, my friend, just walk out of that. I would prefer a broken relationship than a broken marriage. The kind of life I've lived, I would never want someone else to go through it, because it's your life. It's your life. You are a gem. You are of value. So the moment you realize you're of value, you'll walk out of that, and you'll not. I'll not. By the way, I never encourage abuse. I never. I'll tell you as it is. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lydia. I think what you're saying is very important. And I think the shame of we are raised to feel like if you go through a divorce, it's shameful and this is shameful. I think in the end of the day, you need to love yourself, because if you don't love yourself, nobody will. And this is
Exactly.
something that society doesn't allow us to see, that the first person I need to love is me. So if you want
Yeah.
to, if you love yourself and allow yourself to value your worth, then you will walk out of it. And Helen Miner said, a narcissist won't only hurt you, will make sure he or she kills your spirit, and that takes a lot of time to heal. Some heal positive or negative. That's very true. I think one of the best things that narcissists or abusers do is to kill your spirit. When you feel
Yeah.
you're worthless, and when they abuse you, the one thing that they want to make you feel is that you're worthless. There's nowhere you can go. Nobody can
Yeah.
take you. Nobody cares about you. And these are the things that are making you stay. Where will I go after this? Where do
Yeah.
I? If I live with my children, what will happen? So when we start understanding, and this is the question I want to ask you, what are the things you would advise a woman, or you've been talked about the signs, but you actually haven't mentioned some of the signs, or the emotional breakdown that abuses do to a person, so that they tend to feel worthless. I think one of the things that abuses do, and they make you feel, is to feel like you're worthless. There's nothing out there for you. So what are the signs and some of the things that you can advise people, and especially when it comes emotionally? I think a lot of people think abuse is only by being physically abused. I think the worst abuse is when somebody breaks you emotionally, because when they break you emotionally, you don't even believe in who you are as a person.
Uh, by the way, Helen has a point. The narcissist will always make sure they drain every little energy or little joy that is in you. You always have to be sad, because they want to be on top of things. They're so controlling. They want to control the way you think, the way you even dress, and the way you do things. Self-centered. Yeah. And as I said, causes of a narcissist, it's about it's genetic factors, personality in childhood experiences, abuse, rejection, overpraised, admired for being special. Overpraised, maybe you're bringing up your children and you find out your children, wezi mguza, wezi muongelelea, my child is always right. Mostly stigmatized mental health disorders, social skills, impacts people around them. Empty shame, worthlessness of past experiences, especially when they know they amount to nothing. When they know, most of narcissists are lazy. They're lazy. And if they're not lazy, there's something, they're very irresponsible. So when they know they'll amount to nothing, they'll abuse you. And these are some of the traits of narcissists. Self-centered, admiration. You always need to talk about them, praise them. And let me tell you, I first decided to forgive myself because I never loved myself. I love this man to an extent that I traded it with my joy. It was all about him. Make sure he's happy, he's clothed. I've paid roof, I've given birth to him for good children, I've taken care of children, and sometimes I don't even remember any time he even bought me a handkerchief. But I would remember all the birthdays, his children's birthdays. I'll buy him gifts, expensive gifts. I denied myself joy. And I will take them out. When you go out as a family, I'm done doing everything. So I first forgive myself. I forgave myself because I realized I didn't love myself, right? They control their wife's appearance. They control how you appear because they don't want you to be admired with someone else. I remember not even one day he ever told me, you're looking beautiful. He never appreciated me. He never, and I really find it exciting when people tell me, Lydia, you are smart. You're looking good. You have good legs. These are things that I never got with somebody I stayed with for over 20 years. He never appreciated me. And narcissists always know your energy, so they want to bring you down to their level. Emotional needs not attended to. By the emotional, you are crying, your today job was bad. They don't care. Until you had a bad day, they don't care. They don't even find out. If you comes into the house and find out how was your day in this house, how was your day, they don't care. Their emotional needs, they don't care. When their wife is upset, they are not supportive in any way. Self-centeredness, being weak, and emotional distance. Then when they are sick, they want you to be there. But when you are sick, mother, pambana na hali yako. They don't care. They'll never be there for you. And then sometimes they encourage children to disrespect you. They talk to you about children and family. They talk to you about them to discourage them, for you to look bad. And most of the time I looked bad on my in-laws. I'm lazy. I'm talking too much. I gossip too much. Little did they know I was trying to communicate. Something is not right. One of them told me, I wish we had you the earlier days. We would have known what to do. So sometimes they talk to you, they at a friendship. I remember one time he would tell my house girl not to be friends with her on Facebook, to cut me being friends with her on Facebook. Even his friends, he would tell his friends, I don't want to be friends with my wife on Facebook. Another thing, they want to do things enjoyable to themselves. TV programs, it's all about them. One time, there was this Churchill, and Churchill was so exciting when it came on show. My friend, this guy will do Al Jazeera, and we have children there waiting to see the telly. He will do Al Jazeera, and we want to see Churchill. Football, when it's football, we don't watch TV. In fact, we go sleep, or maybe we would go even to a neighbor's place, until I had to buy 2 TVs, one in the bedroom, one in the sitting room. At least now have a place for my children that they can watch. And then movies, friends, hangouts, they choose their own hangouts. And when you choose your own hangout, you go yourself. But when your comfort doesn't matter. They will never celebrate you, no gifts, no special days. To me, they have never had special days. Never. Envious of your wife's success and jealousy. Now that one comes. If they see you are a go-getter, you're a strong woman, they're very envious. My friend, they live in, I remember one time, most of the time when I was working, there's a time I was doing so well until I was, doing business. I would sleep out of the house doing work throughout the night. He never supported me. Even come to town and find out this lady is working throughout the night. Let me support this lady. All about envy and jealousy, because right now you're having your own money. And I remember what time he mentioned to one of the relatives and told them, this I heard my daughter told me. The relative came, they sat down and told the relative, Naringa because I have money. Pesa uisha. This person, what means that I'm feeling good because I have money gets finished. This same person who is cursing your money, he's depending on your money. His children are depending on that money. So I came down and I was like, this is total rubbish, and doesn't listen and expect a lot of attention. By their abusers, they'll want you to listen to them. And even if you tend to forget what they've told about, narcissists, what they've told you about, they get upset, but they'll never listen to you. You'll never explain to them something. You'll never tell them anything. Support person dedicated to him, his job, expectation to be there for him, always manipulation. They're always manipulative. They'll always find a way. I remember most of the time he would want something from me, he'll sulk. But because I'm that kind of a woman, Proverbs 31 woman, my husband has to be happy, my children has to be happy. So he manipulated in a way, he'll just sulk. Yani, you come to the house and somebody is really like you've been there with him the whole day, and then you're like, what is it? Kumbe, he's just manipulating you to get something from you, right? They abusive and then manipulative, I've spoken about him. And you never know, dealing with him, how he would want it. It's exhausting. You think now you've sorted out this issue, and because you've sorted out this issue, things will be okay. My friend, you get out in the morning, you're doing very well. The next few minutes, he's up again. So you never know their kind of is it a scale how it's going up or is it going down? You never know how next it is. They are master manipulation. And I also have reasons on how to react. I don't know, can I discuss that or we can leave it there and then they ask questions?
I think time is almost up. We need to have this for the next, we will have another talk. So maybe we can,
Okay.
somebody has a question, and I see Deborah says, I can relate very well. Thank you for joining us today and thank you for sharing. So maybe if somebody has a question, I think we can take a question, one or two, because it's almost an hour and we can have another talk and we continue because this is a very big topic. So we can have another talk and continue. Unless anybody else has a question from the people who have joined us today. Okay. Okay, Lydia, it seems nobody has a question. So one last thing I want to ask you, Lydia, is...
Let me just round it up,
No,
and
I
say
have a
nothing
question for you before you continue. One question like, what, you know, after everything that happens in your life, there is, because I've asked you for so long to come and discuss about this topic, and I remember it took you, it has almost a year that you just...
yeah plus.
So I want to know, what was that reason that just you decided I'm going to talk about it? Because I know it's a very hard topic to talk about, and it's very hard for people to be vulnerable. The one thing that we as humans are scared of is to be vulnerable, because when you feel vulnerable, you feel you're weak, or people will laugh, or people will judge you. So what was the one thing you will say just pushed you to say, I'm going to share this with other women. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to share my story. I'm going to let another woman see or have an insight of what it is to be abused, and I can help another woman who is still holding in an abusive relationship.
Okay, what really made me come up and what I was holding on, I remember mostly about family, and I would feel, you know, because initially from the first time I started talking and saying, I'm being abused, this and this is happening, nobody really believed. And most of the time people tend to say problem. I was named, how will they take it? My children and all that. But thank God for my children have been so supportive. I have 2 grown-up children and they've been so supportive. In fact, during research and all this, I was to do this first initially when the first corona happened. So my children will do research and all that. And it's also therapy for me and them. And once you don't talk about it, you never get healed. And also, when you listen to people, the rate now that people are being abused in our society, it's so high. And people are not ready to talk about it and say, this is a problem. And this problem is because of mostly it's because of being raised from the same environment, childhood experiences, childhood abuse, yeah? Because I've done a bit of psychology, and childhood experiences come up at adulthood. So I decided I'll talk about this. I'll be an ambassador to this, not advocating for separation and divorce, but also to make a woman understand she's a jewel. She's supposed to be valued. She's important to the society. We need this woman for the sake of the children, his parents, and siblings. Because at this rate, people are being killed. Some of them are taking their lives. It's suicidal. And also help this person who is an abuser. Most of them, they don't realize they have a problem. They don't realize actually they have a problem. It's either their way or their highway. So they also need therapy and spiritual help. I've had people who approached me and told me, by the way, I have a problem. How do you help me? Some of them, we've been walking the journey with them. Some of them about spiritual help. And it's quite huge, because narcissists, they are those sexual narcissists that abuse people sexually, how to deal with narcissists, dating with a narcissist. I've done quite a large part of about narcissists. So I think every day we'll go about it, how bringing up children under narcissists, how you deal with a narcissist. And also there are people who've chosen. Someone told me, for you to deal with a narcissist, you need to be a narcissist. I told him that is wrong. How do you become a narcissist? What about these children? Do you care about these children? I can imagine the environment. If both of you were narcissists, what about the children? What kind of a generation are you bringing up? And again, I'll also crown it and say it's because of the help of God. Actually, I'm a born again Christian, and the strength of God has been so sufficient, because with this, I realized I could not do it alone. Without the power of God, I could not do it. It's hard even to come out of that. But there's a scripture that says, God, be a light unto your feet and a lamp unto your path. And that has been with me. So it took me long because I was weighing the options. And right now, I know that people could be offended. How come I'm talking about it? Some of them could be sorry because they didn't know what I was going through. And just in a nutshell, I've not given out everything. I was just jumping here and there. As we continue with this topic about narcissists, because I've been a victim, I'll be able to bring out other issues that have been about self-centeredness. How is somebody self-centeredness? I thank God at least I'll talk about my life. I'll not talk about someone else. But again, you find my life, you compare with 10 women. In a scale of 10, you get the 8 women. So that's the reason why it took time. And I was also dealing with other issues that really affected also part of that. And I thank God, because even what I was going through with court cases, it is a lady is also a narcissist. There are women who are also narcissists, though in women it's 10% and in men it's 90%. So there are also women who are narcissists. So it had a lot of problems that I needed to settle out some issues. And here, I'm here, God's time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lydia. I think we'll have to stop here now because we've already finished 1 hour. I want to thank you for taking this time. And I think there's a lot that you've shared with us today. And for anybody who's going out there who's being abused, I think there's people, and you just have to talk. As Lydia is talking, you have to talk to someone, and you have to know that there are people out there to help you. It's not a shame to say that you're being abused. It's not a bad thing that you're being abused, because you are in that situation and you need help. It is okay to say it's okay to look for help rather than staying in an abusive relationship and end up losing your life. So I want to thank you so much. And I know we have a lot to discuss on this topic. There's a lot that we've learned. There's a lot that I would like you to share, because you have done an extensive research on this. And as a person who has gone through it, I think there's a lot that we can share and inspire another woman. I've grown up in a society where I've seen women being abused, and it was a norm. Like, you hear women screaming from one house and another that they're being beaten every single night because the husband is drunk and the husband is hungry, or this. But I think we are in a century where now we need to talk about it, and we have to stop believing in what society is saying. I think right now there's a lot of people who are talking about abuse, and there's a lot of people who are helping people out there. Don't stay at home and be abused. There's so many people who are there who are helping women who are being abused. And don't be depressed and feel alone. The reason why we're bringing people like Lydia, and we'll bring so many people to talk about this, is to allow you to know that you are not the only person who's going through this. And it's not normal to be abused. And there's a lot of people out there who can help you. So if you're listening to this program and you need help, please reach out and we'll find a way to help you. But don't sit at home and being abused, because that's not part of living. Living, you have to be free and you have to love yourself. So Lydia, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. And I want to thank all the people who have joined us today, the ones who have participated. And there's going to be a lot more of these talks with Lydia, and we'll bring a lot of people, more experts, more people to talk about it. There's men and women. I'm just going to make it a balance where we're going to have men also and women talking about this. And if we can help one person, only one person who can be helped by this program so that she can come out of an abusive relationship, this is the purpose of this podcast. So any woman who's there, who's going through abuse, know this, there's a lot of people out there to help you. Just reach out and somebody's going to help you. Thank you so much, Lydia. And thank you everybody for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you everyone. God bless you.
Bye.
Let's do it.
Inshallah. Bye.
Bye.